Diane, 11:30 a.m., February 24th, entering the town of Twin Peaks.
The story of Twin Peaks began back in 1986 when film director David Lynch met TV writer Mark Frost. 44-year-old Lynch was already a Hollywood heavyweight with 2 Oscar nominations for The Elephant Man
I am not an animal!
and the cult classic Blue Velvet.
What are you looking at? Nothing.
David Lynch is a beloved but highly idiosyncratic filmmaker. I mean, there's a reason why people have coined the term Lynch-esque, which is that then you don't have to describe what he does, which is a bit tricky.
He's kind of got this offbeat, kind of off-kilter sensibility to him. I mean, if you had to sum it up, he's really pretty weird.
You're like me.
37-year-old Mark Frost was an Emmy-nominated writer for the acclaimed police drama Hill Street Blues.
Hey, let's be careful out here.
Lynch had more of a background in film, Frost had more of a background in TV, and they were both hired to work on this film about Marilyn Monroe. The project never really went anywhere, but that kind of was the beginning of their creative partnership.
Soon, Lynch and Frost were honing in on an idea for a different kind of television show.
David Lynch was kind of exploring some of the similar themes that he was exploring in Blue Velvet, this idea of kind of the seedy underside of suburbia. But doing that in TV allowed him to really dig a little deeper in the form of long-form television.
What did you see that night? The night Laura Palmer was killed.
I'll do the talking.
They both were really fascinated by the idea of it kicking off with the discovery of a dead girl's body. They had both talked about kind of the idea of finding a young woman wrapped in plastic, washing up on the beach.
She's dead, wrapped in plastic.
And just like kind of, who was she? Where did she come from? How did she get here? And kind of just like diving into that whole story. That was something that really fascinated them.
You stay right there, I'm on my way.
Lynch and Frost wrote the pilot in 10 days.
The archetype for Twin Peaks is as basic as you get. It's a murder mystery, it's a serialized drama, and that being the kind of engine for the storytelling, they were able to mix in all these interesting elements. They had soap opera, they had this melodrama.
Don't make me leave. Please.
Also adding some of those very Lynch-like elements of the supernatural and horror, this kind of seediness.
Your hands where I can see them.
ABC greenlit Twin Peaks and ordered 8 episodes. The series revolved around one simple question.
Who killed Laura Palmer?
Who killed Laura Palmer?
Who killed Laura Palmer?
I'm at the Twin Peaks County morgue with the body of the victim. What's her name?
Laura Palmer.
Laura Palmer.
The man trying to solve the crime, eccentric FBI agent Dale Cooper, was played by Kyle MacLachlan.
You want to feed him, Agent Cooper?
I don't like birds.
The initial attraction to the character was really was the idea that David Lynch was coming to television.
The 31-year-old actor had already worked with Lynch on Dune and Blue Velvet.
David Lynch has talked about how Kyle MacLachlan is kind of the good guy you trust to be your guide through the underworld. Like, he's the person, if you're gonna go on like a fantastical, strange journey, you want somebody like Kyle MacLachlan there at your side.
Isn't that the truth? All right.
The role of Cooper was pretty much on the page, all there. David and Mark Frost had written just a wonderfully complex, quirky, eccentric character.
This must be where pies go when they die.
Cooper is my favorite character that I've ever played. He's got a complexity to him and a way of looking at the world that I can understand and relate to.
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Every day, once a day, give yourself a present.
He's, powerful without having to demonstrate it. He's compassionate, he's got tremendous empathy, he's incredibly smart. All those things that I am, of course.
I just got lucky. I got lucky that I got to play such a, cool kind of character.
I'll see you in my dreams.
In 1990, ABC greenlit Twin Peaks as an 8-episode mid-season replacement for their Thursday night lineup. Part soap opera, part whodunit, 31-year-old Kyle MacLachlan starred as the quirky FBI agent trying to solve the case.
There are two things that continue to trouble me, and I'm speaking now not only as an agent of the Bureau, but also as a human being.
Co-creator David Lynch filled out the rest of the ensemble cast with mostly unknown actors.
Now you're going to be working for me.
44-year-old Michael Ontkeen played small-town sheriff Harry S. Truman.
Sometimes local law enforcement has a problem with that. I hope you understand.
Like I said, we're glad to have you here.
I mean, Michael Ontkeen, previous to Twin Peaks, was best known for Slapshot, which is a great movie starring Paul Newman. But it couldn't be more different from Twin Peaks, really. It's a raunchy ice hockey movie.
He's a good sheriff. He's the guy you want to be in charge of your town's police department. And he trusts Cooper. So they make a really fantastic team at being able to kind of dive into this town's secrets and kind of figure out what's happening.
Cooper, you're gonna have to go along with me on this, even if it sounds a little weird.
I'm with you.
22-year-old Cheryl Lee was initially asked to play the murder victim, Laura Palmer.
I had never done television or film before, and I was originally only hired for about 4 days as a corpse, just with a few flashbacks. I was just thrilled to be able to try something in television, but mostly to work with David. And then the role sort of kept going from there.
Well, it turns out she was really good, so.
Lynch was so impressed with Lee that he created the role of Maddie, Laura's nearly identical cousin, to keep her on the show.
Would you like something to drink?
Cherry Coke would be great.
The role of Donna, Laura's pure-hearted best friend, went to 20-year-old Lara Flynn Boyle.
Donna Hayward, here.
So Lara Flynn Boyle, she was pretty much a newcomer. She'd had a couple roles. She had a small role in Poltergeist 3.
She had to kind of be the innocent half of Laura Palmer. She was her best friend. She really had to toe that line between being kind of this Nancy Drew sleuth in the town, but also someone who just really didn't understand the darkness that was lurking under the surface of her friend.
Oh my God, the necklace.
23-year-old James Marshall was cast as Laura Palmer's secret boyfriend, James Hurley.
We're all pretty much a lot like the characters in a lot of ways, that he picks you because he can see that he can bring out a certain thing. So our characters are definitely pretty much, in a lot of respects, our own dynamics, even though it's not us. It's definitely the Harley for me, and definitely the just the way he was, just the guy. It was kind of a James Dean, not a James Dean wannabe. It was like a kind of James Dean-esque character, sort of. So I thought that was kind of neat.
Mysterious vixen Audrey Horne was played by Sherilyn Fenn.
My name's Audrey Horne.
I remember my two older brothers said, "Oh, you're just like her. You're such a brat." You know?
23-year-old Dana Ashbrook played Laura Palmer's popular boyfriend, Bobby Briggs.
What? Me worry?
Bobby, you're wanted in the office.
Who wants me in the office?
He's a football player. He doesn't really respect authority. He kind of, does what he wants, and he doesn't have an airtight alibi for the time of Laura's death, and they've been having some problems, so he is one of the very first suspects.
So what? If I had a fight with her, if I sang songs with her, if I went skipping rope with her, what difference does it make? I didn't kill her!
What attracted you to the role?
What attracted me to the role, honestly, was this was the guy that was a lot cooler than I am or will ever be. He was just cool, and he got to do all these cool things that were written in the script, surfing on top of the car, all that stuff that, was barking.
Kissing girls.
Kissing the hot girls on the show. I just got lucky. I got lucky that I got to play this, such a, cool kind of character.
You heading out, Shelley?
Yeah, I'm heading home.
Fresh-faced Machen Amick landed the role of Bobby's secret lover, Shelley Johnson.
I went in and met David, and I read for Lara Flynn Boyle's part, because I didn't know this then. They wrote the part for me. It didn't exist before I went in, and so I had read another part, and I just remember at the end of that meeting with David, he just at one point said, "Do you want to do this TV series with me?" And I was 16 and was like, "Yeah!"
Norma, I'll
See you in my dreams.
Not if I see you first.
TV veteran Peggy Lipton played the lonely waitress Norma Jennings.
I bet you get all kinds of Romeos in here begging for favors.
I usually tell them I have a homicidally jealous husband who's doing 3 to 5 for manslaughter.
The 43-year-old actress was already well known for her role in the 70s classic Mod Squad.
I think David Lynch just called to see me. This is the way I remember it. I hadn't seen the script, and he called to see me, and I went into his office, and he had a huge desk, and there was nothing on the desk except my 8x10. And I thought, what is he up to? And he just talked to me, and then I did a test for ABC at the time, and then I got the part. It was great. The whole thing was like magical.
44-year-old Everett McGill signed on to play Norma's lover, Big Ed Hurley.
Buy you a coffee?
Can't do it.
David, I worked with him on a film called Doom, and he gave me the nickname Big E. Sometime after that, he approached me with, he said, if I do something where you get to be cool and country at the same time, would you do it? You know, that sold me.
It's not the first time. It won't be the last. But I'm in that doghouse again.
Rounding out the ensemble cast was 36-year-old Wendy Roby as Big Ed's unstable wife, Nadine Hurley.
And Ed, just listen to this. Completely silent.
I don't think I've ever played a character that hurt as much as Nadine.
Nadine is a stock soap opera character. She is the jilted former lover now married to her high school sweetheart who is in love with someone else. She wears an eye patch. We find out very early that she has superhuman strength for some reason. Always obsessed with the curtains.
I was inventing a noiseless, completely silent drape runner.
She's so many things. I mean, of course she's funny. She's really funny, and who doesn't love to be funny? But she was so innocent. There was so much pain in her, you know.
And she was really in love.
Yeah.
On April 8th, 1990, Twin Peaks premiered with a 2-hour pilot. More than 35 million viewers tuned in, and the show became an overnight sensation.
Good Lord, Laura.
It was huge. I mean, it was unlike anything anyone had ever seen before. I mean, both critics and fans just fixated on this idea of who killed Laura Palmer. And it was, I mean, you think Game of Thrones has a crazy fan base now. I mean, it was the #1 topic on everybody's lips.
I remember they screened the pilot and I'm like, well, I don't know. No one's gonna see it. Everyone's sleeping with everyone. I mean, I had no idea.
Audrey, you're a high school girl. I'm an agent of the FBI.
So do you want me to leave or what?
It was new for its time. The characters did things that you didn't expect them to do. But it was more than that. You know, it was a world, it was a, you kind of immersed yourself in a different place. I think people forgot where they were when they watched the program. They could have just kind of fell into the world of Twin Peaks.
You know why I'm whittling?
Okay, I'll bite again. Why are you whittling?
That's what you do in a town where a yellow light still means slow down, not speed up.
Twin Peaks came out and I think gave the audience what they were craving, which was intelligence and mystery and something different.
Damn, I still can't get the taste of that fish-filtered coffee out of my mouth.
It was like subtlety all the way, and you had time to think about things and talk about things and contemplate it and get scared.
All of a sudden, people were realizing, wow, you can make a television show look as cinematic as these really beautiful movies that you see on the big screen.
And slowed the pace down.
Slowed the pace down.
Literally
so
slowed television's pace down.
They were taking a huge risk putting this on the air. Again, I'm amazed that this even got made, but I really think once it hit the zeitgeist, it really took over the culture.
Oh, it fell down.
I think a lot of people realized this is really not like anything else we've ever seen, and they stuck with it.
David's little secret whisper to me, I think we can tell after all these years, was, it's a baby.
And you make me sick!
I just screamed bloody murder.
Harry, I have no idea where this will lead us, but I have a definite feeling it will be a place both wonderful and strange.
In 1990, Twin Peaks was a pop culture phenomenon.
21. Mother always said I was born lucky.
It seemed like everyone with a television wanted to know who killed Laura Palmer.
I don't think anyone could have a water cooler conversation in the 90s that did not involve Twin Peaks and what was happening.
The runaway hit series created by David Lynch and Mark Frost was nominated for 13 Emmys and won 3 Golden Globes, including Best Drama.
Oh, Maresy dotes and little lambs eat ivy, a kid'll eat ivy too, wouldn't you?
Twin Peaks was really the first prestige TV drama where it could be both highly watchable but also kind of high art.
What made Twin Peaks stand out initially was that David's not afraid to go and shine a light into the dark corners. He sees beauty in them and truth. He was never afraid to show that truth.
It was really all about David.
The thing about Lynch is that he really does meld together what theoretically should be very clashing genres. It's, to some extent, a detective story. It's also a soap opera, a supernatural story, and, you know, it's also just plain weird.
My log has something to tell you. Do you know it?
You've got a woman whose best friend is a log, it appears.
I don't believe we've been introduced.
I do not introduce the log.
For an Oscar-nominated director to make the jump into television, that doesn't seem so strange now, but at the time it was unheard of. But it really paid off because he created this beloved television show and really opened up his sensibility and his artistry to a whole new audience.
Fire, walk with me.
He takes the weird part of dreams and the weird part of nightmares and really makes them feel real in a way that you never see in anything else.
I think most brilliant geniuses are a bit obsessive, and you need to be. He's definitely obsessive about what he does, and there's such a real love there.
For me, as a fan of David's, I always appreciate the whole piece of art. From the music to the way it looks to the work, I mean, every bit of it.
Looks like a hog to me.
Holy smoke.
Holy smoke.
And one of the things that David would always say was, you can't spoon feed the audience. They don't have to understand everything immediately.
Yeah.
Let them take a little journey to find the truth of what's going on.
I heard you speaking about Laura Palmer.
Yes?
One day, my log will have something to say about this.
On set, the cast immediately recognized Lynch wasn't making a typical TV show.
He created this world that felt more like a film set, and he would take time to let things breathe.
It's on location in Washington. It's not being shot in LA.
And as a result, the show felt kind of unlike any other television show that had really come before.
I really loved the scene in the pilot where we were in the woods and it was with James and Donna in the woods.
You ran off. Go and eat to me.
Oh, it's okay.
That was really a neat shoot because it was so intimate.
It's not your fault, James.
You have this grieving best friend and this, saddened secret lover of Laura Palmer, and they connect. They sneak off into the woods to look at this locket that kind of represented the soul of Laura Palmer, and all of a sudden, we were in a very kind of heavy teen drama and the love connection that happened there.
And we were like that for 8 hours, 10 hours or something in the woods, you know? So it was so, there's just something about it. It's just so cool.
God, I love this music. Isn't it too dreamy?
What I find so amazing is that like the dancing scene, and the day of it, David showed up and said, all right, everybody get a cappuccino, we're rewriting the scene, and Audrey, you're gonna dance at the end. And I was like, what?
In David Lynch's style, he really loves happy accidents. He loves being in the moment, seeing something that like makes him feel a certain way and then just going with it.
And I was so nervous, and what do you mean I'm gonna dance? And well, they wrote you this song, and just something magic happened in it. Also, just all of a sudden, whenever I'd have scenes with Dal Cooper, something would happen that was really magical.
Good morning, Colonel Cooper.
Just agents, Audrey. Special agents.
Like, ding, 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 things would start to go off, and Audrey would be so excited and happy, and yeah, I love doing scenes with him.
One that leaps to mind is a scene where the llama comes passing through and stops for a moment and looks at me and I look at him.
Yes, but only one has a best friend with one arm. Harry?
That obviously was, we weren't prepared for that. Just stuff like that happened all the time. David calls them happy accidents. He really embraces them. So we had a lot of those happy accidents.
I love the scene we were doing when you were on the throwing machine. I came in and with mud.
It was oil.
Oil, that's right. Spilled oil on her drapes. Sorry, honey, I didn't see it there.
You stepped on my drape runner.
So Nadine Hurley is definitely one of the quirkier characters. She's obsessed with drape runners, and her life's goal is to invent noiseless drape runners.
I was up all night working on that invention. I'm going to have the world's first 100% quiet runner.
And I knew my ass was in a bind. Oh,
Furious.
oh.
And David's little secret whisper to me, I think we can tell after all these years, his little secret whisper that you weren't allowed to hear was, it's a baby. Think it's a baby. And then when he drops that oil on her, I just scream bloody murder.
Ed, you make me sick.
And then later it was the oil dropping on that made me think of the cotton balls. Or as Nadine said, cotton balls.
Cotton balls.
And the oil on the runners, that was the silent drape runners. So it was that happy accident. That was my greatest invention.
By God, those things would be quiet now.
Whenever we would have a kissing scene or anything that was like romantic or whatever, I'd always, defer to David on what level.
How far to go?
Be like, should it be a 1 to 10, 10 being highest? What would it be? And he'd always come up with an 11.
Yep.
I was always just like so grateful to him to give me the green light to be able to go for an 11 with Machen over here.
It's driving me crazy.
There was the scene where we're out in the forest and I'm throwing the rocks at the bottle and using that technique to maybe figure out who might be guilty or not guilty.
I should strike the bottle after Sheriff Truman says a particular name. Make a check to the right of that name.
So one of the first times we really get a sense of Agent Cooper's investigative methods, which are perhaps a little unorthodox, is where there's this great scene where he basically sets up bottles and throws rocks at them to kind of let things guide him towards the right answer. He's someone who really relies on his dreams and his intuition in a way that to kind of help him solve this murder.
The idea for all this really came from a dream?
Yes, it did.
We spent a good half hour just rolling on that and throwing literally hundreds of rocks at the bottle.
Andy, put that bottle back exactly where it was.
Before we finally, I think I winged it one time and knocked it over.
Lawrence Jacoby.
You did it! You hit it!
Lucy, make a note that the bottle was struck
but did not break. Very important.
Then a few later, it actually broke. We didn't really need to do that. We could have done it in a cut, you know, but we were all having so much fun, and David was getting such a kick out of it that we just kept rolling on it, and everyone got the chance to throw rocks, and then David came and threw some rocks. We all threw rocks at the bottle before ultimately it went down.
Oh. Sorry, Andy.
A beautiful scene for me was when I explained why we were together
Yes.
and what happened to her eye.
I shot out Nadine's eye on that honeymoon.
What do you mean, Ed?
It's this really heartbreaking story of how they were on their honeymoon, and it was a hunting accident.
I fired, and a piece of buckshot skipped off a rock and caught Nadine square in the eye.
Man, that's a tough one.
It's a beautiful scene, beautifully written, and it was juxtaposed with Miguel Ferrer, kind of making fun of the story. So on the one hand, it was kind of weird.
She laid across my lap as we drove back to town. She never cried. She never blamed me.
He was making fun of me, but the story was really powerful. So you're in when you watch it, you bounce back and forth between something really touching and something kind of absurd.
So I don't believe in fate. You make your bed, you sleep in it.
Sorry.
The season 1 finale aired on May 23rd, 1990. After 8 episodes, the identity of Laura Palmer's killer was still a mystery.
It was Laura's. We found it. I think it'll help you find who you're looking for.
Who might that be?
Somebody with a red Corvette.
So not only is there still the mystery of who killed Laura Palmer, but all of a sudden, Lynch gives us this whole new mystery.
So the end of Twin Peaks season 1 features this incredible cliffhanger. Agent Cooper is shot.
We eventually find out that Cooper's okay. He was wearing a bulletproof vest and he's not mortally wounded. But it's this really big climactic moment.
Everybody was very excited. Everyone was waiting for Twin Peaks to come back. Who shot Agent Cooper?
So David reached out to me and just said he had something very important to talk with me about. And he told me what he was planning, that he and Mark had found a way back.
Anyone for a warm-up?
Oh,
yeah.
Yes. The first season of Twin Peaks was a massive hit, leaving millions of viewers obsessed with the mystery of who killed Laura Palmer.
My dream is a code waiting to be broken. Break the code, solve the crime.
But as season 2 unfolded, ratings began to slip.
I think there are a few reasons why the audience fell off in the second season. David Lynch wasn't as involved, and he said in retrospect he should have been more involved.
I do think once David Lynch kind of stepped out of the chair, so to speak, and was less involved, I'm convinced that a lot of the audience kind of could tell that the tone was off.
And also, the network insisted that there'd be 22 episodes in the second season, which is a lot of episodes to be, continually as inventive and fascinating as Twin Peaks, should have been.
Here we look out.
And I think it took a long time to actually reveal who had killed Laura Palmer.
The story of who killed Laura Palmer at this point is so much more complicated and strange than it was when we started that you're desperate to kind of get an answer for that.
By episode 7, ABC insisted Frost and Lynch reveal the killer.
So the big answer to the question, who killed Laura Palmer, is that it's this demonic entity called Bob, and basically he has been possessing her father, Leland Palmer. And it's kind of a really dark, twisted reveal.
Bob is this terrifying character who starts to pop up in dreams and hallucinations.
Going all the way back to season 1 is when we first see these images of Bob.
And is first sort of hallucinated by Laura Palmer's mother. So then Maddie, who is Laura Palmer's cousin, hallucinates in this absolutely terrifying scene that she sees Bob. And then Bob turns up again and talks to Agent Cooper himself in a dream.
But I promise I will kill
He's this extremely creepy, malevolent presence, but we don't quite know who he is or how he ties into this story. But as time goes on, we start to figure out and learn who he is, and that he's basically this demonic entity who possessed Laura's father, Leland, and while Leland was possessed, he killed his daughter.
My father killed me.
Ultimately, this is revealed to Agent Cooper by Laura in a dream. So they put Leland in jail, and then they see him being possessed by Bob. Now, obviously, this all sounds crazy, but in the world of Twin Peaks, this is totally normal. This is, in fact, normally happening about 7 times a day before breakfast.
How did you know?
Laura told me in her dream.
We're gonna need a lot stronger evidence than this.
How about a confession, Harry?
So the big question after they revealed the identity of Laura's killer was whether or not people would keep watching. And actually, for a lot of people, that was it.
With the ratings in free fall, Lynch went on The Late Show with David Letterman, hoping to spark a grassroots movement to save the show.
If it has to end, you know, that's all right. But if it doesn't have to end, that's even better. And I'm asking people to write to Bob Iger, the president of ABC. And if I could give the address.
Yes, please do.
Thanks.
I love annoying these
Thanks,
network
Mike.
weasels. Even if it's not this network, let's just annoy some network weasel here tonight.
But Lynch's plea didn't help ratings. By season's end, out of 89 network shows on primetime, Twin Peaks ranked number 85. Lynch directed the finale, still holding out hope for a season 3 renewal.
So season 2 basically ends with what is one of the biggest cliffhangers in television history. What's happened to Agent Cooper? He's been arguably possessed by the demon Bob, and he ends up basically in his hotel room smashing his head into the mirror. Kind of horrifying, unsettling moment, because Cooper for so long has been so stoic and, you know, brave and on top of things, that to see him possessed and not in, you know, full control of himself is really, really horrifying.
How's Annie? How's Annie?
Despite the dramatic cliffhanger,
How's Annie?
the show was canceled in the summer of 1991. But the following year, David Lynch brought Twin Peaks to the big screen with Fire Walk With Me.
So with Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me, a lot of true fans were expecting to finally get the answer to what happened to Cooper, but instead it was more of a prequel. It kind of followed the last few days of Laura Palmer's life before her death.
Laura! Don't! Come on!
Lynch had talked about hopefully doing more films and kind of checking back in on Twin Peaks and kind of exploring some different parts of this universe. The film was never that much of a box office hit, so any sequels never really got off the ground.
But over time, a cult following has continued to grow around the offbeat franchise.
Twin Peaks has such a rabid fan base. It's such a bizarre, quirky little show that it inspires a passion in a way that very few other shows do.
And for years now, there have been rumors that it would return.
I'll see you again in 25 years.
So I had heard, the whole, the tweeting and the things, I've heard all of it, nothing official.
For years.
Yeah.
We meet occasionally and have a cup of coffee, and he would say, no, I'm not doing it. And his daughter Jem would say he'll never do it.
Then, on October 6, 2014, David Lynch sent shockwaves through the Twin Peaks universe. The reboot was real.
When it was first announced, it blew up the internet. I mean, people were they couldn't believe that 25 years after the show had originally aired that we were going to be returning to Twin Peaks again.
I was at a friend's house and somebody said it's like online, people saying he's doing it. Before I freaked out, I wrote him an email. I said, I'm not believing any of this until you confirm that this is or is not happening. And when he said it was, I literally screamed in the middle of a restaurant, ran out the door. People thought I was crazy, but I was ecstatic. I mean, in my little mind, I could do Twin Peaks again and live happily ever after.
I was with Cheryl Lee, actually. We were gonna go and do the Twin Peaks Festival in the United Kingdom, and she was in the car going to the airport, and David called her and said, hey, look, you know, I think this is gonna happen. And then she was like, holy shit, I'm gonna see Dana in London right now, can I tell him? And he was like, yeah, tell Dana. And I just couldn't believe it, I was shocked.
So David reached out to me and just said he had something very important to talk with me about, but he couldn't do it over the phone, so he wanted to meet, and he told me what he was planning, that he and Mark had found a way back, and would I be involved? And of course it took me a few days to think about it. No, I said immediately, absolutely. I said, I'm in, of course I'm in.
Twin Peaks Season 3 will run 18 episodes and is scheduled to premiere May 21st, 2017 on Showtime. The story picks up 25 years after the murder of Laura Palmer.
25 years later, back in the same space, and some things have changed, but a lot, I mean, I don't give it away, but a lot hasn't changed. A lot is still steady the way it was, and still I think the way the fans would like it. They don't want it all over the place, I don't think. It's like, take me back to where we left off.
Now we get to come back more grown up, you know, with a level of wisdom that we didn't have. And for me, so much appreciation, because just the idea to revisit it again as a grown-up woman, it's kind of a dream come true.
It's been a number of years, and so we're all different. And so you obviously bring those world experiences with you into the creation of the character. So Cooper is similar, but there's also, there's some, you know, things as you would imagine after that many years, anyone is going to be slightly different. So I bring all that with me.
I just still feel so blessed to know this group of people and to be able to work with this group of actors, and obviously the director and everyone else involved in the show.
It's the people, it's David who sets the tone, and what is so cool is that we got to do this so long ago, and that we get to do this again now, and that she said 25 years later, you know, so it's just really cool.
This is a cliffhanger that's 25 years old and something that we thought we would never really get the resolution to. And so to have all of these main players back again and in this world with, you know, David Lynch and Mark Frost on board, I mean, that's pretty exciting.
It's kind of amazing that the show is returning. I believe that the fan base of the show, which never really went away, was responsible in a large part to the return, and I'm hoping that they're going to be happy with what we've done.
Yeah, I'm thrilled that Twin Peaks is returning. I'm not sure I even drank coffee before Twin Peaks, and now I drink like 37 cups a day. So basically, as long as Agent Cooper says his most famous line from the show, then it'll be fine by me.
Damn good coffee. And hot.